Hello, hello, good morning. How are you, Miss Angela? Oh, can't hear you yet. You're still on mute.
I said, I'm good. I didn't sleep at all, but I am good.
Oh, I know it's been busy, busy time, but are you starting to get back to normal since the holidays? And
Yeah. I don't know. It's just weird. I never have a hard time sleeping. And my son had a hard time sleeping the other night. And I went in and rubbed his back, and he never has a hard time either. So then last night I did. And I'm like, part of me is like, maybe it's our bed. I
oh,
actually go on and be like, how old are people's beds? Because my husband's hips bothering him. And I'm like, I'm just so stiff in the morning. And I'm like, maybe it's our bed.
yeah. How long have you had it?
It's been a long time. I want to say it's 15 years old.
So yeah, we have done a lot of research on this because last year in the early part of the year, our animals destroyed our mattress, and we were like, should we try to clean it and keep it up like one more time, and we had researched it, and almost everywhere that we had read is like 7 to 10 years, and
Mm-hmm.
seven being like if you are having issues with your body, or if there's like several moves, or because your bed collects from everything from sweat to skin cells to all those things, and if you don't clean it up, keep it very regularly, and ours had been through a couple moves and things like that, so ours was, I think, about 8 years old, and so we decided to junk it, buy a new one, and there's actually a lot more affordable ones out there that have really good reviews. So today's topic is beds.
That's part of my problem. They're so dang expensive. It's like,
I know.
like
um I will message you later with the brand that we got, because I can't remember it right now, but it was what is it? I can't hear you. Nectar, like the nectar of a fruit. And we had researched, like, sometimes what I do, like when we need to make a big decision, I will research the crap out of things. And we would read like what's that?
those the beds in a box.
Yes.
Yeah, because my
And
daughter. Yeah.
yeah. So we were researching, like, the most top 10 most comfortable, the top 10 most affordable, the top 10, like XYZ or whatever. And that was the one that we had collectively decided, and we really enjoy it. I would also recommend, upgrading pillows too. And when we did buy Nectar, they sent us free sheets and free pillows, I think. And so, and I didn't love the new pillow. I went back to my old one, but I think Brad uses the new pillow and my daughter does. So that pretty much wraps up our welcome. So this week we have a brand new itinerary that I had been meaning to do for a while. So we are never going to be a perfect on the dot with these minutes here, you guys. Like, we are a very natural group. We're going to follow the flow, and we're going to talk about the things that come up naturally. And so this just kind of keeps us on track a little bit, so that we're not like too far in other planets and things like that, because I know I can be guilty of going wild. So we will do kind of around the room, if anybody has any shares of wins this week, like what has been something that you're really proud of, whether it's you or somebody else, like just a couple minutes to kind of the break into the goodness that we bring on these community calls. So does anybody have a share they want to kick us off with? Okay.
I have a super quick one real quick. It's two things, I guess. I'd first say that like my abs are sore because I've actually been working them out. So I always seem to forget about them. And it's like, I like to do the big hard workouts in the arms and the legs. And it's like, you got to work those little abs, especially if you want to like heal those muscles after having babies and just all of those things. So that's my win, is that my abs hurt. And then also just working on getting in as much protein as I need. I know that I really struggle, but when I do the math, because I do lift heavy weights, I need 4 meals a day with 40 grams of protein each, which is a lot. But I'm 6 foot tall, so like it does make sense. And so yesterday was the first day where I did a regular like 24-gram Isoline shake, but then I added in a scoop of the Tri-Release. And then my second one was the Isoline Pro. So, and then I did like my 2 other meals. One was a sandwich with meat and nuts. And then the other one, we had like chili with a whole bunch of meat in it or whatever. So I don't know that those were even, like, I don't know how people reach their protein goal without supplementing when they need as much protein as I do. But that's as close as I'm probably going to come. So I'm taking it as a win and I feel good about that. Those are my wins.
That's amazing. It's hard sometimes to like, you know, count any like anything that you're trying to track, whether it's, you know, fiber or anything else. Like it's hard to sit here and get exactly on where you're supposed to be. And it takes a long time to really find out where you are supposed to be, you know, trial and error. And then we change as we age and things like that. I had macros done for me by a personal trainer in South Carolina. And like, I know they are nowhere near they're supposed to be. They're nowhere near I am today because I'm a completely different human, you know, different situation. So keep us updated on how that goes. I don't know if Molly can speak, but I will brag on Molly here. You guys, she and I talk every single day, and she has been so dedicated to making 2023 great, focusing on personal growth, focusing on the good and the positive, and really working on herself. So really want to highlight her because, you know, life throws us lemons sometimes. And so she has been really juicing the crap out of them. So I'm really proud of her. So we're just doing some wins here real quick. Elaine, thank you for joining. Angela, do you have anything you want to share?
I actually just want to share when my son is an awesome athlete and he uses a lot of our products. Like how it's paid off for him over the years. He's like kind of an elite wrestler, and he's just had like already the beginning of the season. We're already probably not quite halfway, and he's just killing it. And it's just exciting to see when you like fuel your body, and especially like just teaching our kids like how to eat right and fuel their body, and that you need to supplement for a little, and just what it's done for him and his body. I have so many people that reach out to me. They're like, what is Caden doing? How is he so big? Like, what do you feed him? And so just exciting that I can be like, you know what? Well, we eat really well, and then he supplements, and
Yeah.
we've been.
That's amazing. Like you know, we can't go backwards in time, right? But there's so many times that I kind of, you know, just take like an analyzing look at the way that I was raised and just the differences in how I'm bringing up my kids. And, you know, we always strive to be the best that we can, and there's always room for growth and things like that. But like all that matters is that, you know, you feel good and proud and have those moments and stuff. And you're like, look at, you know, the great things that we're doing here. So that's amazing. I think that that's such a good win. So Noah, thanks for joining. We're just going over some wins this week. Do you have anything you want to share?
Not really, not today.
Okay. Yeah, it's definitely it's a big getting back into the groove week, right? You know, we've got through all the holidays, things like that. So everybody's in a different place. I know Elaine was on for a second, but we can go ahead and move on to the next subject here. So every week we're going to be doing kind of a leader spotlight. And we started doing this in the very beginning where we had different leaders share their story for a couple minutes, things like that. And so I didn't ask anybody today to share. So you just get to hear me ramble on for a few minutes. But I wanted to talk about just the fact storytelling is super important. And that is what this section is going to be, is that different people are just going to share stories. And I don't want it to be, you know, before I started Isagenix, I felt this way and now I feel that way. I want that to be share a specific moment, a story, something that has changed in your life and your health. I don't care what triggered it or whatever, but really kind of go and take us on a journey for a few minutes. And I'll ask different people each week to share. And so I'm just going to share one example of one of our testimonials that is not very commonly mentioned. So one of the people in my team has this couple that they've been talking to about health for a long time. And as they were sitting down and having a conversation, this member of my team got very vulnerable and very, deep, and shared some of the changes that's happened in her body. And that triggered the wife and the couple to share something very deep and intimate about herself. That never would have happened if the team member hadn't have gotten open and raw. And that's something that people connect to. They want to relate to each one of us. And so now that door is opened for that couple to be more interested in learning a little bit more about supplementation, biohacking, things like that. And so if you're not giving people something to like hook and grab onto, they're never going to understand. It's not going to make sense why you would take something like collagen, or why you would use blue light blocker glasses, or why you would go into a ice bath or a sauna or things like that. You've got to use actual stories, something relatable that they can grab onto. Another team member of mine, she owns a body sculpting spa, and she has these patients, or these clients of hers, that are in the most vulnerable position. Most of the time, they're not wearing any clothing and things like that. And she does some kind of wild things. Now, wild is, everybody has a different idea of wild, but one of the things they do is they do steaming of lady parts. And like, how more vulnerable and intimate can you get? So she has these, mostly women, there's some men that come in and use her service, in a moment where they are just open, and they have to trust her. If you're not trusting, if people don't trust you, it's never going to go anywhere. And so she has this opportunity to talk to them about these very sensitive areas and subjects in their life. And you learn that some people, when it comes to health, are still very, very superficial. They are very much thinking that like the epitome of health is skinny, trim, great skin, all these things, where we all know that you could be very good looking and have a heart attack tomorrow. It is not based off of weight. It is not based off of features or anything else. What's going on inside our body needs to be monitored more closely than our outward appearance. But we don't know, when we're talking to somebody, where they land on that spectrum unless you're asking those questions. So my team member that has the body sculpting, she can feel it out by asking these questions. Are they here for superficial reasons? Or are they here for longevity and, making sure that they're setting their body up for success later in life? And then she can, in her sharing of Isagenix, find some place to, advise if they're open to it. So the whole point, I guess, of my leader spotlight today is to talk about sharing those stories, sharing the bits and pieces of what has changed in your life, whether it's anything to do with Isagenix, or it's anything to do with how drinking a gallon of water has changed you, or how, starting any sort of habit has changed your life. Like, get real and open and honest and relatable with people, because that's always going to be how they trust you. And trust is absolutely key when it comes to building any sort of, relationship, business, or anything like that. And one thing I'm really focusing in on for this year in my friends and community section, my number one is only spend time with people that I love. And I talk to a lot of people. I have a huge, huge group of people. And I kept finding myself kind of going back to certain individuals, and I'm really asking myself, why? Why am I spending time with this person? Do I really feel good? Do I really like them? Do I, dare say love them, and those are the people, regardless of what our connection is, I will give my energy and time to. So with that, closing off that section, we're going to talk today about New Year's resolutions. So does anybody feel like a burning desire to kick off and share their piece on resolutions? Does anybody feel like they're dead? Like, throw New Year's resolutions in the trash? Yeah. I love that viewpoint. But does anybody want to share?
Yeah, I'll go.
Yes.
Okay, I hate resolutions. I think they're like the dumbest thing that we've ever been invented. I don't like, who invented this stupid thing. nobody ever follows them. I've been in the fitness industry like most of my life, and I feel like, why are we waiting? We wait till that day, and then like we have these resolutions. And I know it's like a new year, new you. So I like never talk about resolutions. I absolutely hate them. I am very goal orientated. So like with like all my people, anybody that I work with, it's all like, let's look at your struggles and let's like give me your goals. And then that's something that's attainable. I mean, even if you like look up the definition of resolution and goals, it's like, I mean, I just love the definition of goal, the end toward which effort is directed. So it's just like we like something you can see. So I love that. And then I just like to have, people, kind of hone it in. So like, what's your 1 month goal, 3 month, 6 month, year? And it's just something you can do just for your whole entire life, fitness, your kids, your own life. Yeah. So that's kind of how I feel about resolution.
I love that. And time and time again, they say that the number one resolution that people say is earn more money. And number two is lose weight or, get fit and things like that. And so having the perspective of somebody that works in one of those industries and sees like there's already so many posts and memes and stuff that I'm seeing about the gyms being overcrowded and the regulars getting so frustrated because they can't get on the machines or the weights that they want because there's some noob over there like doing it wrong. And it's, it's not to be comical because at least they're, getting in there and trying, but like it is a general knowledge knowing that the gyms will start to clear out in about 3 weeks. I think that's the statistic that I've seen is after 3 weeks, that's when people start falling back. And by February, it's almost back to like normal average numbers. And then I think they said that like a couple months in the summer will dip to like much less people coming in. And then around the holidays, November, December, less people get in there. So I don't know if that's still true. I might've dreamt those numbers, something, I don't know. I don't try to be an expert, but I feel like I heard that somewhere. So I love that you shared that. Does anybody else have an opinion, share anything? Gabby?
I'll just add really quick. Yeah. 2 little things. First of all, does anyone have a word of the year? I like the word of the year versus a resolution. I never really was into the whole resolution thing, but I do love the idea of reflecting on your past year and being like, okay, especially if you've battled with depression and to the point where I know I've been there where it's like, well, I thought about ending my life this year. I'm glad I made it through, and just giving yourself a really big hug and a really big pat on the back. And I think a lot of people do need that because a lot of people there's rough times in every year. Like you're going to lose someone you love every single year or someone that you know. So building that resiliency every single year so that you can allow those hardships to make you stronger, better, more wise, more empathetic, more kind, more generous, like looking at how much money you're making sure it's just a little bit more every single year versus having these big audacious, resolutions and all those things. So my word of the year is fruitful. And last year was intention. And I know we've done a couple of lives on this and talked all about it, but I really just did like looking at all of my relationships, looking at my time, my energy, and my money, and being intentional with where I spent it. And even looking back last year, I'm like, man, I still wasted so much. Like it wasn't a lot, but it was enough to look back and notice where I can trim the fat. And so that's going into this year where if it's not a fruitful conversation, if it's not a fruitful thought, if it's not producing a good thing, it doesn't have a space in my life this year. So that's my like intention and word and what I think about that.
I love that. Yeah, this year my word is intention. So I don't know that last year I tried to do 8 words. I mean, y'all know me. It's not surprising that I tried to like go crazy, but this year I'm like, nope, we're doing 1 word, but there is a sentence that goes after it. I am being intentional in the application of the knowledge that I learned and the lessons that I learned in 2022, because 2022 was such a big year of learning for me. I felt like I didn't have the space in my life to apply the lessons that were being thrown my way. And so this year I have that space because I'm not committed to as much personal growth as I was last year. And so it's just time to get into action. And so I'll kind of share here for a second too, because I have been taking the last couple of days to declutter my brain. And what I like that you guys had mentioned is that, this is the time to reflect on the previous year. And reflection can usually lead to some ideas that you want to change and you want to improve. Now, they don't have to be written down. I have done, probably not since like my early 20s, I would do like 5 or 10 resolutions on a piece of paper, and it'd be lost in 5 days. Like, it really wasn't anything, but I haven't really followed a resolution. But I do try to set my mind into like a direction. And this year, what I needed, regardless of what month it was or what day, right now in my life, I needed to untangle what was going on in my head in different sections. So I wrote down different subjects, like one being health, one being finances, one being family life, one being California, one being boss ladies that I do, unstoppable, things like that. And I just brain dumped every section. I think I wrote out like 23 pages of stuff. My hand was cramping. I am not somebody that likes to write, but this felt so therapeutic for me to just get it all out there. And my next step is to go through each page and kind of turn it into a goal I want to achieve in this year. And it's like everything from, paying off one credit card that's just kind of pesky and kind of annoys us that we, keep putting money on it. It's like, well, why do we keep doing that? We're investigating the root cause and getting it paid off and just feeling like free with that, right? And so the best way to do that is to identify the problem and then use the SMART acronym: specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely way to backwards plan to get that goal checked off. And then I don't have to think about it anymore. And then we've got to establish that lifestyle change, right? So it's like reminding ourselves not to use that card for things, but knowing that it's there for emergencies. If we do have to buy a mattress, or if we do have to buy something, we can have a plan set in place on when we're going to pay it off, instead of just like kind of pretending like it doesn't exist. So that has been my plan in life right now. It just so happens to be in the beginning of the year. It just so happens to be in the beginning of the month. It just so happened to be, on a Monday, all of those things, because I needed to set my intention right in all of these areas. And unless I have it routine, unless I have it written down, unless I have accountability, I struggle to do those things. And so sharing sometimes with people, with, groups and different things like that, just helps for me to kind of nail it in. So does anybody else do anything like that? Or, does it happen periodically throughout the year? Like, does anybody else feel like that who else is like a writer? Because I'm generally not. Nope.
Good morning. I'll just chime in real quick on that because I am a writer type. And there's power in pen to paper, let me tell you. For me, my word, because I don't do the resolution thing anymore. I used to all the time, and then I'd fail, and then it was never a good feeling. So I'm like, well, it's not the way to go about it. So what I like to do now is I like Gabby's thing about the word. So my word for the year is growth. Last year, I felt like I was going 800 miles an hour all the time, which I kind of was in a lot of ways. And that's not my normal pace. And I realized it's not maintainable to be my optimum best self.
Mm-hmm.
So what I've been doing is I just sat down. I've gotten really intentional about where I need to grow, and finding simple strategies, I guess would be the word, to just kind of start. So I'm listing my 4 most important tasks of the day, I'm calling them.
Mm-hmm.
And if I hit those 4 things, whether it's I did 5 minutes yoga today, or I went for a walk, or just whatever, I get to check it off because that makes me feel good. And if those 4 things get done, great. It's a successful day. So kind of, and one of my things that I'm doing every single day is just intentional devotional time with God.
Mm-hmm.
Like a set time, a set place, and a set amount of time, and making it like the most delightful part of my day. Mm-hmm. Intentionally. And then if more things get done, which usually does happen when I'm more intentional and I have something saying, oh, this is successful, then I check my things off. And if something else gets done, great. If not, the day was still a success. And that's kind of just where I'm at for the moment. Like this morning, I literally You guys, I haven't been to the gym. I haven't worked out. I mean, I do some little stretching and stuff, but today I intentionally picked out some wall yoga things to try. Yeah, that's a workout. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm just going to do 5 of these, 4 different things. And that's a good start.
Yeah.
And I did that this morning. So I'm like, oh yeah, I can tell my body hasn't done anything like this for a while. So it felt good,
Yeah.
and just really honing in on things that don't feel overwhelming, but successful, attainable. I like that SMART thing. I'm going to have to use that. Thanks, Sadie.
Yeah. No, that's such a good share. I love that. My son found a pair of shoes the other day that he didn't know he had because they're a little bit too big, and he put them on and he had to test out how fast he could run. And then Daddy was getting ready to go work out. So Miles was like, I want to work out. And he started crying. And I was like, hey, buddy, we'll go out in the gym and in the garage and work out together. And we went out there and we just did like 10 reps of like every easy body weight exercise there was. And I only did, I want to say maybe I did 15 squats, and I felt it. And I was like, what is wrong with me? Because it's been a while. And I'm like, I just need to like get my body back used to it. And so it's always, tricky to get back into things because we want to start where we left off a couple months ago, but we have to just start slow, feel good, work our way up. And instead of like going out there, last thing I'm going to do is go out there and throw on 75 pounds on a bar and start doing, back squats, because I got to work my way back up to that. And it won't take as long as it would if I was a brand new beginner. But thank you again for sharing, everybody. Thank you for your shares. We'll take a minute or two here to talk about a product of the week. And so I think we'll do a running list, but for now it's like every week it's like, what do I have near me that I could talk about? But what I do have today is our Bia. Does everybody does anybody not drink Bia? I think some of you guys. There's Lane has hers. So Bia is our version of an energy drink. And really what makes it energy, right, is the caffeine that's in it and the vitamins that give you, more oomph to get through. So if you don't know, B vitamins can give you great energy. B12, some people take B12 on its own, things like that. If you're finding yourself like exhausted all the time and you go to the doctor, one thing that they check a lot is your B12. B12 is ingested majority of the time through meat. So if anybody is a non-meat eater, they are going to want to make sure that they're supplementing B12 through other things, whether it's with our Bia or an individual supplement. And you can also take B12 as an injection, like a shot. But we have adaptogens in here, which help with boosting your mood. It has grapefruit flavors. It's carbonated, so it feels like, an energy drink. If anybody here has ever physically been addicted to Monsters, rock stars, anything like that, it is an actual physical addiction to break that. And I can speak for that myself. When I was in the military, I was obsessed with the Java Monsters, the low ball flavor, which is like a vanilla. I sucked those things down. I was obsessed. I think I had 4 in one day when I did a 24-hour duty one time, and I was like shaking. It was awful. And when I finally broke the habit, migraines, all of the things, you don't have to worry about that with this. I'll kind of finish up by saying, like, Red Bull, I watched a video that talks about how Red Bull was created. It's actually a really fascinating story about how the brand came to be and how the people in development created it. But Red Bull really is what paved the way for the energy drink world. And they have a tagline, we all know, Red Bull gives you wings, things like that. But there's still so many people that like, they use Red Bull kind of like as a overall, it's like using the brand Kleenex, even though it's just tissue. So this is a healthy version of Red Bull. You're going to get so many additional benefits. Some people will feel like it's not quite as, harsh. It's just because we don't have a ton of sugar in it. Like, it's all natural. Like, there's less than 1 gram of sugar. Gluten-free, soy-free, 10 calories, vegan, all the things. So Bia, it's what's for breakfast. So we are at 8:30. Look at us. We are so good. I can't believe it. Now, most weeks we actually do end up talking for the entire hour because, we're just kind of loosey-goosey, but I will go ahead and wrap up with an assignment in our vision, and then we'll stop recording. And then anybody that wants to stay on to keep chatting about things, we certainly can, but just for
Sadie, can I add one thing really quick about the
Yes,
B vitamins?
yes.
So when I went through, gosh, was it 2 years ago now? And I had mine done, and I have always religiously done 2 shakes a day, our ionics, our greens, like all of the things, you guys. And I had my blood work done after my second kiddo, and my B vitamin, specifically my B12, was still low. And when I got my Dutch test done and like all these different things, and I just want to let you guys know, like, it was a huge realization for me. So B12 is a water soluble vitamin, which means it flushes out throughout the day. So you don't want to just take like a ton of it and then think you're good for the day. Having it, in our shakes throughout the day, and then having the hydrate and the BS, so that you're doing it like staggered out throughout the day to keep it going. But then also just like that has helped 100% realizing that. And then I actually use our Isagenix products and a couple other things to stay up on it. And then I would also say, just if you guys are doing the BIA, the nootropics, the e-shots, we have a couple different, the XM Plus I went through, and it might just be specifically me and how much caffeine I can have. But I think, Sadie, you had talked about this, about staggering those out throughout the day as well, because I was crashing. Even though it was all natural, healthy energy, I was still crashing. And I'm like, what is wrong with me? And it was just because I was having way too much caffeine. So I would recommend 2 if you feel like this is you, just doing 2. And I just cut back. So if I do my XM in the morning, I don't do my cup of coffee, I don't do my nootropic, and I don't do a BIA, because I was literally taking all of them throughout. And I was like, I can't have caffeine after 2, so I better get it all in before then. And it's a little bit more affordable. Things last a little bit longer when you're not taking all of them. So just a couple hints and tips for you guys if you're struggling with that.
I love that. That's so important. I'm glad you brought that up, because I won't have a cup of coffee if I have my XM. And I usually have my nootropic later in the day, but I have my cutoff too. So it's important to know, like, when should you stop taking in caffeine so that you can fall asleep at night. So if anybody wants to kind of talk through on more of a one-to-one basis about how to stagger and stuff like that, I'm always open. And I'm sure any of the leaders here would be happy to talk to you about finding the right caffeine rhythm and vitamin rhythm for you. So the assignment this week is going to be identifying your opinion and your feelings around goal setting and resolutions, and what did you reflect on for 2022? What is your word or intention or whatever it is for 2023? Everybody is going to be, oh, hey, Amy, thanks for hopping on. Everybody is going to be different, and that's okay. You can find somebody who has similar viewpoints as you, but we all respect each other's will. If somebody came on here and was like, resolutions are the best thing ever, we're still going to respect them, and we're going to love their opinion on it, and we're going to thank them for sharing. So we can all have our different spectrums of how we view certain things like that. But it's good to have these open discussions just to learn. Maybe there's something you heard today that's like, oh, I'm going to change things up because that sounds way better than what I've been doing. So again, our vision here at Team Unstoppable is to give people a safe space that we can talk about these types of topics. We talk about health relevant things, and we are here to support each other, celebrate wins, and lift each other up. So thank you all for joining today. I'm going to stop our recording and stop share. So stay on if you like.